Good morning and welcome to Sports Central, brought to you live and exclusive on Spectrum Television, all the way from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuren in Godtone State, Akwa Ibom. My name is Mfuniti and I'm quite excited to be back on your screens, and today we'll be talking about lots of stories trending in the world of sport. We talk about basketball. The finals for the Western Conference is getting even heated. The first match of it, we had to see the San Antonio Spurs. We were one of the poorest sides last season. Now they're in the finals, and they're also doing better against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the current NBA Most Valuable Player, who was awarded just before the match started. That game ended in overtime, and the San Antonio Spurs got it. We'll also look at tennis, look at other stories as well. Football, where we are starting to see coaches release their final squad for the World Cup. Neymar yesterday got, drafted by Carlo Ancelotti to go to the 2026 World Cup starting in just 23 days. We'll talk about each and every one of these stories on the flip side of the show. Remember, you can follow us on all social media handles. Head to Facebook, head to TikTok, head to X, known as Twitter. Go to Instagram as well and follow us at Spectrum TV Live. You can also check out us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button at Spectrum TV Nigeria, and you do all to keep up with all content. We'll take just a quick break. When we're back, Sport Wrap-Up info. Top table tennis stars from Denmark, Japan, South Korea, Germany, France and Nigeria will begin vying for the $100,000 prize pool at the 2026 WTT Contender Lagos, which begins today at the Molade Okoya Thomas Hall of the Teslim Balogun Stadium. About 130 players from 20 countries make up the elite contingent set to compete at the 2026 WTT Contender Lagos. The top seed amongst the players is men's singles defending champion and current world number 17 Anders Lind of Denmark, while women's singles champion Hanoka Hashimoto of Japan is also back in Nigeria to defend her title. Since its debut in 2023, the WTT Contender Lagos has never witnessed a successful title defense, but that record could be challenged this year as the tournament returns from May 19th to 24th. Now to athletics, where Toby Amusan has been drawn in lane 2 for the Xiamen Diamond League. Well, the World Athletics has released the official lane assignments for the upcoming Xiamen Diamond League scheduled for this weekend, with Nigeria's Toby Amusan set to compete from lane 2. She's the world record holder in the women's 100 meters hurdles, and she heads into the meet in strong form following an impressive outing last weekend. She clinched gold at the 2026 African Athletics Championship before securing a silver medal at the Shanghai Diamond League, underlining her consistency on the global stage. The Xiamen event is expected to feature a highly competitive field with several top hurdlers drawn across the lanes. Now to basketball, where Victor Wembanyama delivered a 40-20 performance as the San Antonio Spurs opened the NBA Conference Finals with a double overtime win after defending champions, the OKC. The matchup between the first and second seed in the Western Conference features Wembanyama, this season's Defensive Player of the Year, go up against Thunder's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has been named the NBA Most Valuable Player for a second straight year. And the best-of-7 series got off to a thrilling start yesterday as San Antonio had the chance to win it at the end of regulation time, and then Oklahoma City in overtime before the Spurs prevailed 122 to 115. At 22 years and 134 days old, Wembanyama is the youngest player in NBA history to reach 40 points and 20 rebounds in a playoff game, and joins Will Chamberlain in 1960 as the only players to do so on their conference finals debut. Game 2 is also in Oklahoma City on Wednesday, while the New York Knicks open the Eastern Finals at home to the Cleveland Cavaliers later today. Now to other stories, where Salim Salau of the Central Eagles and Chimelie Odekwe of the Western Dolphins are the leading contributors with a bat and ball at the inaugural Nigeria Super League, setting the pace in the newly sanctioned Nigeria Cricket Federation tournament. Salau tops the batting leaderboard with 83 runs, while Odekwe's 6 wickets place him at the top of the wicket takers chart. On Sunday, Salah set the record for the highest individual score in the Nigerian Super League, posting a sensational 83 of 61 balls in Central Eagles' nervy one-run win over the Eastern Elephant. The right-hander struck 4 boundaries and 7 sixes to anchor the innings and seal his side's first win of the tournament. After a 2-day break, action returned to Wednesday, with the Eastern Elephants seeking their first win against second-place Middle Belt Tigers, while Southern Sharks and Western Dolphins will also face off. Now to the most exciting sport, talking about football. Arsenal yesterday have won hand on their first Premier League title in 22 years, following a 1-0 win against Burnley at the Emirates Stadium. Kai Havertz headed Arsenal in front from a corner with 9 minutes of the first half remaining before he was fortunate to escape a red card for a rash tackle midway through the second. The victory takes Mikel Arteta's players 5 points clear of Manchester City, who must now win at Bournemouth today to take the title race to the final day. Should Pep Guardiola's side fail to win at the Vitality Stadium, where Bournemouth have not lost a game in the 8 matches since their 3-2 defeat to Arsenal at the turn of the year, the Gunners would celebrate the title with a game to spare. Now, with minutes to spare, we'll take just a quick break, and when we're back, the guys will join the conversation and we'll do proper analysis on what we have on the plate today. Remember, don't go anywhere, stick around.
What a day to be back talking about the best of stories and analysis in the world of sports. It is Sports Central, and my name is Vladimir Kim. The guys are seated for me, ready for the talking point, the build-up that comes with it. But first, a part of a conversation to look at definitely will center around the English Premier League. The battle continues after Arsenal got a victory led yesterday, 1-0 victory. At the end of it, a propelling momentum, and the battle continues amid speculation that Pep Guardiola will be leaving Manchester City and Enzo Maresca taking over from him with a 3-year contract. Pep wasn't so happy when the information met rounds, and surprisingly for the players, because just Saturday there was affirmation to the players that Pep Guardiola will still be around, but it's a story of what we're looking at. A new diametrics moving to next season. But one other key conversation rather in the world of football would be about the World Cup. Teams are bringing out their list and talking about details of all of these. One stood out for many with peculiarity was the Brazilian squad, or some big players. One, Joao Pedro from Chelsea, who's been named Chelsea's best player for the 2025-2026 season, not making it to the World Cup, despite the entirety of the family sitting and watching as Ancelotti went to a live show where there was a broadcast that captured players and have gone to the World Cup. We hear there were two lists in that regard, even until Ancelotti announced it. One list involving Neymar Jr. Being part of it, and the other one involving Joao Pedro being part of it, with speculation about injury concerns for Neymar. But finally, Neymar met the list. We'll talk about other sports, tennis and basketball. The NBA Finals taking center stage. Game 1 coming with all the traction, with the likes of Victor Wembanyama being so classy in it. Well, I won't be doing it all alone. The guys are seated with me on the table of greatness and ready for this one. Uchebe David at the far corner and Fontina here in the middle. Uchebe, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning to you, Blyden. Delighted to be back right here. I think I'm quite delighted about the whole suspense surrounding especially national team colours for the FIFA World Cup. Just like you mentioned, I also saw Matthew Cunha's family watching the live show, and immediately Matthew Cunha's name was mentioned. Yeah. They were all jubilating. Absolutely. So it shows the suspense, it shows the way you're actually being kept to expect something at the end. Maybe that's how Brazil just wanted to do it this year, because I have not seen any national team that done it. But I think at the moment, exciting World Cup we're expecting. Exciting
World Cup expecting, especially with interest from young stars like Joao Pedro and Igor Thiago being part of it. Well, from a Brazilian point of view, many have argued going to a whole show, national show, to broadcast the list of players and all the excitement, the whole nation sitting down. Yeah. Maybe new pressure from Brazil, trying to make it a World Cup for them. They've won 5 World Cups at the end of it, and especially when they have a big man, Don Carlitos, being part of it, but Carlo Ancelotti.
I think Brazil is the home of football. Yes, I know the English people think they are the forefathers of football. But for me, I think Brazil has to be, they're synonymous with football. So they know how to make history. They know how to, I'm sure what they've started, other teams will copy as well. But my pick yesterday was not even about the Brazilian national team. I don't care about that. I think they'll not even make it past the group stage. But then looking at the Ivory Coast national team. Morocco will finish top of that. Morocco will finish top of that. I can promise you that. But we'll talk about Ivory Coast. We'll talk about Ivory Coast and release the squad as well. And Amad Diallo is making it to his debut World Cup. I can't wait to see the man at the World Cup. I think he's got something to watch out for.
Well, I don't know why I'm found more interested in Amad Diallo from a Manchester United point of view. And African were not caring so much about Casemiro.
Has been underperforming.
Probably Casemiro's living the top anyway, so I'm talking about it. We're going to talk about football stories and the cost of it, but quickly, let's look at other sporting activities and athletics and where it start from. It start from the fact that Nigeria's record holder in the 100 meters hurdles event, Toby Morrison, had to finish 3rd as Marcel Rosso breaks meet a record. We're talking about impressive performance at the Diamond League meeting, posting a season best time of 12.41 seconds to finish 3rd in the women's 100 meters hurdle. Well, to David, I'll start with you. Toby Emerson, while we're celebrating improved performance, I remember some tournament championships she went the last time we talked about, and there were conversations. She's not done any till then. Her form could be concerned. I think, you was worried about the very fact that going to the Diamond League could be a difficult one, but not too bad finishing 3rd.
Well, I think it's quite good for Toby Emerson. Now we're talking about back-to-back tournaments in the space of a few weeks for her. First, it was the African Athletics Championship in Ghana, where she won gold medal. And now we're talking about finishing 3rd. As a matter of fact, her season best. So that gets to show you she hasn't really, competed at top level, especially with international athletes at the moment. I think it's quite good for her. Recently, we're also talking about her setting her sights for another Diamond League in another country, which would also have international stars, and that to a large extent shows the level of competitiveness for the lady Toby Amusan. I think at the moment it just could actually get better and better for her, because the more competition you actually experience, especially with international athletes, the more, of course, quality you add and experience for yourself, especially as an athlete. So I think at the moment, Toby Amusan, yeah, the year is still far, basically. So I really want to see as many competitions she will be participating, and from there we can actually look at Toby Amusan, maybe in the long run, of course, being quite a dominant team. International and not just on the continent of Africa. I think at the moment she's doing really well, and I want to see more of that.
Well, I think I just want to add something about Toby Amusan. I remember last year we talked about her getting involved in an accident, and before you know there was a comeback, in that regard. And I think she's doing quite well for herself. At some point, some corners were already starting to talk about life after Toby Amusan at 28. It was very ridiculous, but I'm just excited to see her still going strong. I think it's a testament to the fact that you can always do anything you want to achieve. Congratulations to Toby Amusan.
Well, regarding Toby Amusan, after creating that record 100 meters at a time, everyone talked about it, a world champion in that regard, and momentum was shaping. At some point, Nigerians were always expecting her to go to that pinnacle, be the best, win gold medal, none of that. Didn't drop to second, but it seemed like now beginning to linger to third. Maybe it might be the beginning towards the end for Toby Amusan, away from titles and championship. Nigerians are beginning to settle with that fact that, well, she's not going to win gold. Do you think so? You've talked about the momentum of recovery. Do you think any chance for the likes of Toby Amusan to come back and be that Toby Amusan, winning gold medals here and there, because in recent times it's not really happened for her?
Well, first of all, I think Nigerians should calm down. 12.12 seconds. I think that's more like a once in a lifetime thing.
12.41 seconds.
I'm talking about the world record.
Okay.
12.12 seconds. That's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see to be able to get it there again.
Because when you look at the winner in this particular event, the Diamond League, Marcel Russell, was 12.25 seconds.
Exactly. So
12.12 seconds, quite difficult, especially
when
you're jumping.
She had to be investigated after the world record. So remember how she had to submit a lot of blood samples and all of that. So you understand how difficult it is.
Well, normal procedure. I wouldn't want to follow the funny say she had to be investigated. Normal procedure when participating in competition like this for Toby Amusan. But there's a saying, if you've done it once, you can do it again.
But personally for me, I think I'm actually not looking at her, breaking or even smashing that record once again, because there is every possibility it may not happen until she officially retires. She may actually get closer.
The question is, what happened that time that she can do it again?
I think we're actually looking at something now, because almost every year we're also having several athletes breaking into the top 10, breaking into the top 20. So you would always have a younger opponent to face in every athletics competition every year. So there is that possibility that she may not get to that particular point. But I think what I will actually want Nigerians to do, we should be able to look past Toby Amusan at the moment. 2 years, when she's 30, I'm not actually sure Toby Amusan will even be in the top 10 anymore. So we should be able to look at who next now, who can actually emerge as a young talent. And maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, we can actually see another next Toby Amusan, because that's what we're looking at the moment.
Yes, I think to what UT said, I think we remember Blessing Okabare kept being so dependent. Now we don't have a replacement for Blessing Okabare.
Absolutely.
We don't have an Nigerian doing so well in the sprint. 100 meters, 200 meters, a long jump. I think I said Bruma has done so well in the long jump, but for the 100 and 200 meters, we don't have a Nigerian female, even in the male,
it used to be a thing for Nigeria in time past. So we're getting to that point where a youth discovery, it's something we have to really look forward to. Another Toby Amusan has to be discovered, and on. Similar to what David is talking about and what Nigerians are expecting. Let's hear from a Nigerian's point of view. Let's talk about some younger stars that seem to be doing well, who has to be will be Tobago, who's also done quite well, looking at the African Championship, and she's now focusing on the Commonwealth Games following breakthrough performances at the African Athletics Championship in Accra. She won bronze in the women's 100 meters hurdle behind compatriot Toby Amusan. But while we're talking about Toby Amusan struggling, Tobago seemed to be a new one coming, but quite a distance for her to be at the peak of it. Finished with a position third at the championship in Ghana. And while transiting to other talking point, quickly let's look at the world of cricket as Salo Anudego topped Nigeria's Super League leaderboard. Well, to David, I was listening to Sport Wrap Up. I don't know how excited you were while Fun was talking about it. A cricket leak for me, that's something fascinating. And that's what I could pick around that. In the coming days, I know we'll talk about the Cricket League and how good the Cricket League has been. But a good start from a Nigeria's point of view. I'm quite impressed that there's a Cricket League, and we're looking forward for the Cricket League doing quite well. In the coming days, we'll look deeply into it. But Salim Salo of the Central Eagles and Chamele Edekwe of Western Dolphin are the leading contributors with a bat and ball at the inaugural Nigeria Super League, setting the pace in the newly sanctioned Nigeria Cricket Federation tournament. What do you make of this one as well?
I think it's a good development. First of all, let's start with that, because recently we were also talking about the cricket scene, particularly in the shows of the country being one of the fastest rising sports we've seen on the continent of Africa. And I think in the whole of this cricket league, one thing stood out for me, because in preparation for the start of the tournament, the federation actually urged all the participating teams to have at least a player who's between the ages of 18 and 19 in their respective club sides. And that gets to show you that they're also nurturing some talents who they could also push to our respective national teams in the long term. So it brings experience for these players who may not actually have that experience at this particular top level. And to a large extent, if we keep seeing these particular cricket league on a consistent basis, then you never can tell what Nigeria could actually be as a cricket nation in the next 2-3 years. That's what I really want to see at the moment. And I think it is actually positive steps in the right direction for this particular cricket league to go on and on, not just this year, but particularly beyond this year.
And particularly beyond this year, where I was spoken about what to expect from the world of cricket and the excitement that comes with it. Quickly moving to the world of table tennis, an interesting conversation in the world of tennis is the very fact that some Danish international, Japanese international, South Korean, Japanese, and we talk Germany, and we're talking about the likes of France, and Nigerian players will begin vying for the $100,000 prize pool at the 2026 WTT Contender Lagos beginning today. We're talking about at the Molade Okoye Thomas Hall of the Tesla Balogun Stadium. Well, I heard it in this tournament, champions are not repeated. It's difficult to have defending champions at the end of it defend that title. Always a new title for it, but something we're talking about in terms of championship, in terms of style, in terms of preparation for some of the lads. When I was listening to you talk about it, especially with about 130 players from 20 countries making up allied contingent set to compete at this year's WTT Contender Lagos tournament. It makes all the difference. You mentioned some of the top players and the defending champions in this one, but all these players are back into this. And the men and women single, 32 player main draw per category, men and women doubles, 16 per category, and mixed double, 8 pairs in that regard. I won't dwell on it, but we get to know who the champion would be moving forward in the coming days. And similarly, from a cycling point of view, Cycling Federation has released updated medals, and we're talking about medal standing for African Championship. In fact, I don't know what the follow is for you, and that's one from the Cycling Federation. And cycling, not really the biggest of sports from a Nigerian's point of view in Africa, because you talk about, I remember those days when you watch Tour de France, and you see some of the big cyclists in this one doing quite well, and scarcely you get to see lots of black Africans in it, but I'm quite happy. There are speculations around it, prospective analysis around this one. A Cycling Federation have released updated medal standing for African champions.
Well, I think it was last week we talked about Nigeria being on top of that list. So the updated one, we've seen South Africa has usurped Nigeria to top of the list now. I think about 38 medals. Nigeria sits second now, so it shows that we did not do enough to to get the overall victory at the end of it. But good to see Nigeria doing quite well. Finishing second is not mean feat. So definitely the boys and the girls have done enough. And let's see what imports for the future, because just like you said, we need to see more. I think cycling is a sport that's a little bit stereotypical. We've seen more white people dominating, just like lacrosse. You cannot see Africans playing lacrosse, so those kind of sports are more white dominated. But let's see what happens. Maybe the next 10 years we'll see people who competed at the African Championships right here in Abuja competing at the Tour de France. Something good from the African Championship now in cycling, as we talked about. South Africa are currently topping the medals table with 19 gold, 10 silver and 9 bronze, amassing 38 points to maintain its dominance at the championship, while the host nation Nigeria occupies second position with 7 gold, 7 silver and 9 bronze medals in a total, making it 23 points to look forward to. Well, quickly now we go to the world of tennis
proper after we've talked about table tennis and cycling now into the world of tennis. Tennis, Alex Demino and Ben Shelton snap losing streak in Hamburg. Interesting, some of these big tournaments are taking place in the world of tennis, but I won't have to dwell on it quickly. Let's talk about NBA playoffs, getting to the final of the first leg of the finals. San Antonio Spurs winning the Thunder in conference final opener. Well, I could have come to you, but I'll start with Fun House. Lots of interest in NBA in this one now. Victor Wembanyama keeping all the records. I listened to you talk about it during
Defensive player of the year.
Absolutely.
I think it should have been the player of the year.
In that regard, but the biggest conversation is we're talking about a 40-20 performance at the San Antonio Spurs open NBA's conference final with a double overtime win at the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunders. It's getting even interesting, quite difficult. Many would say first game. I know when we're having postulation about this game, and not many really thought this would be the finalists, but some of the best sides during the regular season, we've talked about
just the finals for the Western Conference, not the overall finals.
Oh yeah, overall finals, I agree.
So I think for the Spurs, I expected them to do this. In the regular season, defeated the OKC by 4-1. 4-1. They won 4 against the OKC winning just 1.
Well,
I know.
I would call it regular season.
It doesn't matter. I think it's going to be the same thing. You know, the OKC didn't lose any game in the playoffs. The first round, the second round, they won by sweep. 4-0, 4-0 against teams like the Lakers.
Yeah.
So when you look
at
at
the first loss for them.
Exactly, so it shows the Spurs have got something quite formidable against this OKC side. And just like I said, when they face the Lakers, they're depending too much on those ref calls. When they met a side who is strong enough, yes, I agree with you guys that the Lakers are not strong enough. That's why it was making us say, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. They would have lost it.
When you're losing, you become a bitter person anyway. Similar, that's what the Lakers do. And now, San Antonio Spurs are not complaining about the referees because they're playing well. Play and win. Stop badging the referees.
Even before the overtime. No, bend off for those ref calls.
Well, it got to overtime with David, a strong call from the referees. You want to say?
For me, I think if you go through and you rewatch that particular game, you understand the very fact that some OKC players were not just at their best this particular morning. I mean, look at Shadris Alexander, couldn't amass up to 25 points himself. The likes of Cheltenham and the rest of them, they were actually really poor on the morning. And I think the sports side, of course, we're just arguably the best side this particular morning. But I would actually take the first game as regards a defining factor to what to expect until game 7. We're already talking about game 2 now, what to expect in game 2. Don't forget it's a final. So I also think that the OKC would definitely go back and look at what they did not do better, come back and ensure that they level this game in game 2. And potentially we may just actually see this game span through game 7 until the end. So I think for me, the Spurs were good, no doubt about that. But the way I'm looking at it, the OKC are quite ready for game 2 and the rest of the other games.
All right. For me, it's a battle of two superstars in this one. The Shark Gijos, everyone's talking about it, especially when you're MVP, a regular season, look at it, back to back. But on the other hand, when you have a #1 pick, how many seasons now we're talking Victor Wembanyama?
Should be third season now.
There's always going to be that impact with the #1 pick being part of it. I was listening to him funny during the sport wrap-up, and one thing he mentioned was the fact that a past season we talked about San Antonio Spurs, how they were playing so terrible. And this season it seemed like a rejuvenated side, not just rejuvenated, clearly one of the best teams in the NBA. A big factor. Is it a #1 pick factor, or are we going to see a factor of the regular MVP in this particular finals?
Well, for Spurs, I think one thing they've actually stood out for them and have also helped them this season is about their traded deals. I mean, you look at the very fact that the last 2 seasons we always talked about Victor Wembanyama, but look at this season. Look at some traded deals they've done from the offensive players to the defensive players. They have been really good. I mean, of course, adding some quality.
You can't talk about a trade deal without having a real call in it.
Now, having some quality in the side,
in terms of quality,
it could be a factor. Adding some quality in the side has also helped the sport, because personally for me, I don't think Victor Wembanyama would actually take the Spurs up until this moment. We've actually seen games just missed out during the regular season, but the Spurs were able to win those games. So it goes in their favor.
Sometimes the mentality shifts.
Absolutely.
The #1 pick comes into it. Everyone starts believing they can do it. It gets to happen because I'm looking at a big name that's really joined them. I can't really see so much.
Fox has been there with the side, and he's
Darren
also a
Fox is a very
massive.
big name.
Come on, he's single-handedly won games for them this season.
It's Darren Fox.
When he's not part of the side, particularly.
Yeah.
Wambayama, Darren Fox is like Wambayama, Darren Fox. You know what I'm saying?
We're talking about Wembayam because he was the #1 pick.
Absolutely.
I mean, Heath Fox.
It's something to be
But
like.
basically for me, I think Heath Fox wasn't a good
LeBron
player.
James. LeBron James was the #1.
They won't be interested in the band going to sports.
If Fox was that good, it could have been #1 pick.
He left the Sacramento Kings to join the side, basically.
But whatsoever, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Top level. But it's a battle we're really looking forward to and really hoping it gets to work. It shouldn't be like regular season 4-1, as Valentina spoke about. It should be a real battle in this one moving forward. Who gets to be the champion of the conference? We gotta see, time will tell. A best-of-7 series it is. Well, game 1, a victory for San Antonio Spurs over OKC. Will OKC come back strong? Only time will tell. But now we have to go on a quick break, and when we're back, we're going to talk about football stories all around the world. A part of the conversation would be about Jose Mourinho and Real Madrid, and we'll talk about the details regarding the World Cup, a squad in particular for Brazil. Who missed out? Why? What went wrong? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Sports Central. My name is Vladimir Kumutredev. Funny to still with me for company going nowhere. And now we got to look at interesting feature in the world of football. And as I always say, football, here we go. A part of a conversation we'll really talk about from a football point of view, where we start from, would be from home. Let's say charity begins from home, and it has to do with the African 2027 Nations Cup draw. A Nations Cup draw will be taking place today, and the likes of Willem Troost Ekong would be part of those legends contributing to the draw, assisting in the draw according to a CAF, and alongside the likes of Mark Alan Gardel and Essam El Hadari and Trezor Mputu. So funny thing, we're looking forward to the draw taking place today in Cairo, a capital of CAF. But interesting, a part of this draw would be 48 teams divided into 12 groups of 4, with only the top 2 from each group. That is the top 2 from 9 groups qualifying. Now the group that has the host nation, talking about Tanzania, Kenya and Uganda, each of the remaining 3 groups, only 1 team will qualify from that, because the host nations have automatically qualified, despite the fact that they'll participate in the qualifiers. So Willem Troost Ekong, the big lad, are featuring in this one. By the way, just to add, this is the first time East Africa will be hosting the Nations Cup since 1976.
The first time 3 nations as well will be hosting the African tournament in Africa. I think it's exciting. I'm particularly excited. It's been a long time I've been to the Nest of Champions to see, top superstars like Victor Osimhen, come over and do their thing. So I'm very excited because we know it's going to be right here in New York. So that's my own point of view. I think Nigeria definitely going to qualify for the group, whatever group Nigeria.
I seem like someone who doesn't want other states to have a good stadium. I said it's happy the qualifiers, but these are Nations Cup we're looking forward to. Nations Cup proper, not the qualifiers. The qualifiers definitely will come around November, October, September, and that will be for the 2030 World Cup qualifiers. But 2027 qualifiers taking place, and a Nigerian legend will be part of those assisting in the draw today in Cairo. And quickly, we're back at it. At home, conversation over Kwara United gearing up for title defense in the President's Federation Cup. Kwara had won it, but interestingly, 64 teams would clash in this one in the President's Federation Cup, a round of 64 rather, the round of 64, and Kwara would face a Sporting Supreme under 19. I don't know how it pans out for the under 19 side against Kwara United, but the beginning of that title defense at this one, and the game takes place at Prince Abubakar Aldo University in Kogi. Remember last year Kwara had ended 49-year wait for a major trophy and earned them a spot in the CAF Confederations Cup after beating Abakaliki FC at the finals at the Mobile Johnson Arena. So the FA Cup returns in a quick speed. As you're looking at a conversation around football now, this one has to do with Nigerians that's done so well in Serie A, the Serie A Femminile. In this one, it has to do with one key name now. We're talking about Shukarat Oladipo alongside which other now? Alongside Rinsola Babajide, who've been able to win the Serie A title. Let's talk about this, folks, Nigerians now. But when you mention Oladipo for me, she's been absolutely fantastic. The 18 games, league games she played out of 22 league games she played, for the 18 games, there were clean sheets, not conceding a goal. Big superstar. He's met the team of the season, not just the team of the season. 21-year-old has been named best defender in Serie A. Something good from a Nigerian's point of view, considering the fact that the Super Falcons defense needs solidity.
I think it's quite good for her, confidence. She's not just a defender, she could also be deployed as a defensive midfielder as well. We've seen in some games, particularly the Italian Serie A, particularly the Italian Serie A, the Femini, league, to be very precise.
Femminile.
I'm using Spanish now, Italian.
And that's a problem with women's then. That's one is femine. You go to Spain, feminine. You go to France, you don't know whether it's feminine. And now in Syria, feminine.
It's quite good now because we're also looking at the WAFCON here. Don't forget, this is a WAFCON here. So all of these will also, play in favor of the Super Falcons of Nigeria. I really want to see how all of these players, will be able to do better at the national team, because I'm certain with this level of performance, she will also be invited to the Super Falcons list ahead of the, WAFCON, proper. Good stuff for her, good stuff for the winners.
Good stuff for her, good stuff for the winner. Good time for the likes of Rinsola Babajide there alongside Oladipo to own their own, especially with the Super Falcons of Nigeria looking at the Nations Cup, the WAFCON this year. Quickly we switch gear and go to European football now and talk about the exciting one. The battle for who becomes champion continues in England. Yesterday we saw Arsenal beat Burnley, Kai Havertz early goal, keeping them at the top of it. Unfortunately, it's getting very difficult. Pep Guardiola, on the other hand, there's been an announcement from Manchester City. They're playing today against Bournemouth away from home. But there's been an announcement he's leaving the side, and the players are shocked. Arsenal, 5 points ahead of Manchester City, pending the result of today's game. Massive.
Well, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game for Manchester City. First of all, I have to give Arsenal kudos for beating Burnley yesterday. It was a very, very convincing performance. Yes, the scoreline would not suggest so, but watching that game, Arsenal were in total control of the game. There was no point where I thought Arsenal wouldn't win that game. So kudos to Kai Havertz as well. 60 million down the drain, but he scores again. Every time people,
I want him by 60 million down the drain.
That's what people say. For Mikel Arteta getting for 60 million from Chelsea, but he keeps, coming up close for Arsenal, and I think he's been a very pivotal player for Mikel Arteta. And for Manchester City later today, I think it's going to be very difficult. Bournemouth they've not lost in quite a long time. So against Pep Guardiola, they have to be at their best. And the thing about Manchester City, yes, they've been winning a few games, but I don't think Manchester City have been that really formidable side. I've watched bulk of their games. Yes, some moment of magic and they win. Even the FA Cup final against Chelsea. Some people would say Chelsea deserve to win that match. So when you look at it, I think Pep Guardiola would have to pull maybe a rabbit out of a hat to get the win against Bournemouth. But let's see what happens later tonight.
55 points in terms of number 6 in the log. 55 points for Bournemouth and Liverpool in a position of a Champions League. We're talking about 59 points. You think Bournemouth might decide to push even further, just to try and see the last 2 games, maybe they can get the number and qualify for the Champions League, or probably just settle where they are at number 6, they go to Europe. Massive performance from Bournemouth this time.
They are looking for European sport to come next season. They're in the race ahead of against the likes of Brentford, against the likes of Brighton and the rest of them. So they know every point counts in this particular one. We're also talking about Bournemouth. I think going the last 9 games without being beaten. So that also counts something for them, particularly. So it won't be an easy game for Pep Guardiola in Manchester City. And I also think the very fact that this news have actually gone to the media space that Pep Guardiola will be leaving at the end of the season, it could also send some emotional shocks for the players. So you never can tell what version of Manchester City you're expecting today against Bournemouth. But be it as it may, I expect City to win and maybe take this particular title up until the end of the season. Mikel Arteta said he will be a Bournemouth fan later tonight, so he's watching on his TV screen. So that shows you what he actually looks forward to.
Well, he's got no choice than to be a Bournemouth not fun. Similar to Pep Guardiola, I've been a Crystal Palace fan some time ago.
Was a West Ham fan as well.
Absolutely.
He's
What a way to be a fan for some of these coaches that are looking forward to opposition players beating their rivalry at the end of it. Well, another game in the English Premier League takes place today. It will be Chelsea Football Club taking on Tottenham Hotspur. I like to call this match a battle of the bastards, where Tottenham Hotspur trying the best they can, put 17th in the log with 38 points, hoping to survive a relegation. 2 more matches towards the end of the season for Tottenham Hotspur. They're just 1 position away from a relegation position. West Ham, Burnley, Wolves relegated, Burnley relegated. West Ham still trying to battle it out, and the coach of Tottenham Hotspur, the Shabby, have said, well, he loves the fact that many other club sides are hoping they get relegated. They use it for the positivity against that opening. Chelsea at Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea has not won a game in 8 matches. Redemption time for Chelsea, or the worst continuing fun?
I think this is a game where Chelsea can afford to, get a win. Tottenham have not been the best Tottenham Hotspur side. Even recently, they've started winning a few games, but still, doesn't. I look at the team. Xavi Simons has picked an injury. He's been their best player in the past how many matches. So I think it's going to be another very difficult game for Tottenham. And it's at Stamford Bridge. As we know, it's not really been a fortress in recent times, but come on. I think Chelsea can get something out of this game.
I hope your outlook of Xavi Simons has changed in recent times, especially he's improved in terms of performance. It wasn't one of your favorite players anyway.
I feel it should not be a player where you build your whole team. As a Tottenham Hotspur,
it's not changed.
A big team as Tottenham Hotspur should not be building their team around Xavi Simons.
All right, Tottenham Hotspur shouldn't be building that team around Xavi Simons. Funny thing, let's talk about it quickly from still the Premier League. We here, as we talked about it earlier, Man City are preparing for Pep Guardiola's exit as Enzo Maresca's turn is now. I hear 3-year contract for Enzo Maresca, the former Chelsea coach, host negotiating with Man City while being the coach of Chelsea, and Chelsea had to boot him out. We move to La Liga. Hansi Flick has agreed a Barcelona contract extension until 2028. The big question would be, has he done enough? I think for many quarters the answers would be yes. I won't dwell on it. Let's go to the one that interests us. It would be the World Cup list from Brazil. We saw Neymar included in Brazil's 26-man World Cup squad. Well, one key name was missing, which was David Joao Pedro, who's been named Chelsea's best player of the season. Chelsea's best player, seconded by Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, third in that direction. Joao Pedro, the family was sitting around table, hoping that his name would be mentioned as Carlo Ancelotti on a national broadcast met the call. You can see the names of the players on the different club side. Surprising for you, Joao Pedro in 49 games, he scored 20 goals, 9 assists this season. Chelsea's best player not going to the World Cup. Neymar Jr. going, Endrick going, and a few others. Martinelli going.
I think I'm quite surprised to start with. I'm really surprised why Joao Pedro, the man who scored 20 goals this season for Chelsea, has not been called up to the national team for the World Cup. And then taking Gabriel Martinelli at the expense of, Joao Pedro, who's done better. I still don't understand the rationale behind that particular selection. But I think on the other hand, I'm also thinking, if you look at the wingers that Brazil national team have at the moment, is Joao Pedro an out-and-out winger? Is he an out-and-out striker? I think those are the questions, particularly on the lips of many as well. You also look at the attacking options that Carlo Ancelotti has picked. I think those players are really, players you think they've done really well for their respective national team. But on a lighter note, I still do not think Joao Pedro should miss his World Cup because he's played an integral part of the season for Chelsea. Despite the very fact that we're talking about
who should be dropped in his
Gabriel
position.
Martinelli for me doesn't deserve to be in that list.
Right.
If there's any other player, Gabriel Martinelli for me.
I think Gabriel Martinelli is not a bad player to be in the Brazilian squad. He brings something different. But I think we've got players there, Ryan from Bournemouth. I don't really see what he's done to merit being on the Brazilian. We're talking about the Brazil national team, for God's sake. What has Ryan done? Luis Enrique, I don't even know about him. I'm not on I don't know who that is, but look at Joao Pedro. He scored over 20 goals, and he's not making the World Cup for the Brazilian national team. I think Don Carlo Ancelotti has a lot to explain, because when you want to put side by side Joao Pedro and these players to take into the World Cup, what do they have over Joao Pedro? I think nothing.
On the other hand, many would also look at the level of contributions Joao Pedro's had for the national team. It's one thing to do better for
Luis Enrique is at St. Petersburg.
Who watches the Russian league?
You don't have to watch.
They are banned by UEFA. Right.
So we don't let's look at another angle. So David, what we're having on
the national team,
absolutely,
what's happening at the club
absolutely,
side.
because you can look at a club side and say, well, this player is playing week in, week out for Chelsea.
Yeah.
When Carlo Ancelotti, the manager, calls him to play among the elite players
How
from
does he
Brazil's
perform?
point of view. How does he
How
perform?
does Enrique perform?
Well,
He's done well.
Carlo Ancelotti.
Luis
Enrique.
Yes.
Luis Enrique.
Oh, Luis
Yeah.
Enrique. I've
Yeah.
not seen him with the national team.
Is
yet.
that a St.
Yeah.
Petersburg?
I've not seen him
Well,
with the national
you
team.
can argue about it because you've not seen. Have you really seen Joao Pedro perform for
At
Brazil?
national team?
That's another question.
I've seen him
How
perform
many
at the
games?
highest stage in the world. I've seen him perform at the Club World
A
Cup.
club side, yeah.
That's with clubs.
A club
We're
side.
talking
I'm just saying.
national
No. The World Cup and the Club World Cup can be compared.
No, you can't.
And now-
It
It can.
No.
It's a top
He
competition.
plays-
That's what I'm
no,
saying.
come on,
This-
let's
this-
be realistic.
competition.
This
It's
is the
not
point.
about the top competition.
You competed against the best
He's
teams
playing
in the
for
world.
Chelsea.
All right, guys. This
playing
is the
for
point.
clubs
This is the
that
point
national
we're
team is
looking at it.
different.
Joao Pedro can be a bit inconsistent also, but here's a conversation we're looking at before we're out of time. Before we'll leave now. Brazil's quality, for me personally, I think I really have a challenge from the midfield point of view. I've not really,
You mentioned just five.
I've not really seen a
He's
creative.
Eric Seguchel's friend.
I've not really seen a creative bunch in that
Yeah.
midfield. Fabinho plays in this one.
Casemiro.
Casemiro, the guy in Newcastle
yeah,
United,
Bruno
Guimaraes,
Guimaraes, Flamengo man,
Paqueta, and the
Paqueta.
rest of them. So no creativity for me from a Brazil point of view, similar to last time out. So any possibility of a change in terms of performance compared to the last World Cup?
Round of 16, they're getting knocked out.
No,
Okay.
I do not know at the moment.
All right, as we set the bounds, we hear Jose Mourinho wants Rashford at Real Madrid. There's a conversation for another. Well, Dani Carvajal to leave Real Madrid after 23 years. This club doesn't take it easy with a legend. When you're past your prime, they put you out as simple as that. No sentiments around it. Mohamed Salah's heavy metal. Liverpool posts selfies. Jamie Carragher. Unfortunately, Carragher, Salah back at it. But we have to bounce. Thank you,
Rooney
guys.
said it first. He
Yeah,
said the
Rooney
man should not
said
be-
it.
the man
Yeah.
should not be in that final team squad for the game against the last home game of the season.
I don't
that
know.
will also be selfish from Arne Slot because he deserves the the farewell from the fans.
Okay. Well, he'll come from the bench anyway, depending on the result. Maybe come 2 minutes to go and have the farewell to David. Thank you for being a part of it. Good thing is you don't come 2 minutes to go.
No, it starts from the start.
Yeah,
So
we start. Sometimes some fun has to come in. Fun. Thank you for being a part of
Excited
it.
to be
My name is Blyden. Okay, I'm here. We share responsibility. If you're on the bench, you're on the bench. You come up, you come up. But I want to say obrigado. Thank you for being a part of it. Tomorrow is another day.